you ever heard of a global midlife crisis? Well, maybe not, but if you currently look around and see, we are living in one right now, and America needs sports now more than ever. Today I'm going to talk to you about the media interpretations of how the National Football League is planning to continue their season without an extensive COVID-19 outbreak. If football interests you the least bit, you can still take away tips on how to prevent the spread of the virus, and you can also see how these large organizations are going about combating these uncharted waters. I've gathered information from 5 credible sources that explain the NFL's plan against the virus and how well it is working so far. Although on the brink of collapse, the NFL has put in little to no efforts to promote safety against COVID. As of now, the NFL refuses to enter a bubble phase and will thus continue in their plan to finish the season despite certain disagreements from the media. The current situation of the NFL has been identified by many newspapers and is one that is alarming to many. According to the Associated Press from Fox News article, the NFL has not put in nearly the amount of effort in preventing COVID cases or disciplining teams for not following the rules. They also say that they will not enter into a bubble phase. One fact from the Fox News article states that the NFL has measured more than 500,000 tests but has been lucky with only a positivity rate of less than 1%. Here is a chart of all of the COVID cases in the NFL. The 2020 MSN article fact-checks this statement by saying from August 1st to October 24th, only 55 players tested positive and 82 other personnel tested positive. On September 29th, the Tennessee Titans had 8 people test positive. It did not seem like the league would discipline this team for their careless behavior, but according to the 2020 MSN article, that they were fined $350,000 for not adhering to protocols. The NFL has no plan to isolate the organization and move into a bubble for the remainder of the season. And this comes from other articles and quotations from Commissioner Goodell. The league chief medical officer emphasized how the infection will spread more rapidly if it gets inside the bubble, and it can also cause an emotional toll on the players and staff. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says the league is not looking to discipline teams, but rather looking to keep personnel safe. The NFL staff from one 2020 NFL article said he put in place new protocols that require anyone who is identified as high-risk close contact to be isolated. In an MSN article by Adam Coleman named NFL COVID-19 Positive Tests Still Rising, it states that high-risk people are not permitted to return for at least 5 days. While some may care less about the condition of the NFL, some have quite the opinion on what they should be doing differently to prevent COVID. Dr. Joshua Barricos, an opinion contributor for USA Today and an infectious disease physician and public health researcher at Boston Medical Center, believes the NFL's COVID-19 plan is not working and needs to be tighter rules to help protect players, profits, and society. Players are not required to wear face masks, staff violates mask rules, and locker rooms are breeding areas for COVID. He believes that due to the influence the NFL has on American culture, they could positively influence society in respecting mass infectious prevention. Although in opinion, it rings true because according to 2020 Fox News article, there are over 19.3 million viewers that tune in and idolize the NFL. They could use their power on society for good. He also believes that COVID-19 rules need to be tighter. With more than 100 positive cases, it's a matter of time before healthy individuals become sick with life-threatening consequences. Furthermore, games are being played in hotspots for corona, putting people at risk. His opinion is that they need to hold games in non-coronavirus hotspot cities to reduce risk. But Tad Hayslop in his Sporting News article mentions that fact that no game is even played with full fan capacity and over 80% of teams play without fans in their stadium. Dr. Barricos thinks that if the NFL refuses to change their plan for COVID, then they must cancel their season. Players and staff should receive their full pay and benefits, since as he states, an organization that generates more than $16 billion a year can afford it. This is a moment of bias because everyone has different views on how an organization can spend their money. He believes it is not worth it to society to put all players and personnel at risk just to play a sport. The current plan is unacceptable without changes made. The Fox News article and USA Today opinion piece have similarities and differences, but the best ways to analyze these two pieces is to do some fact-checking that will help you find answers. Both the article and opinion piece detailed the severity of the corona situation within the NFL society. The Fox News article mainly focuses on the situation in the Tennessee Titans corona outbreak. Meanwhile, the opinion piece from USA Today focuses on the condition of the NFL as a whole. They both mention how the NFL will not enter into a bubble stage, which is a fact because this is what Commissioner Goodell said in their 2-hour league meeting. According to Sporting News article, they refuse to follow in the footsteps of NBA's and NHL's bubble system. The news article tries to have a more positive outlook on the situation. It includes an actual dialogue from NFL Commissioner Goodell. He says that the NFL is trying to express in promoting safety. The opinion article provides biased content and says the NFL is not doing enough. Although being a valid opinion, there are a few inaccuracies in what Dr. Barricos is saying about the situation. Even though he is a very well-educated doctor, there are some flaws in his views of the NFL. He states that the rules are not regulated enough, but Sporting News article by Tad Hayslip states the strict protocols that an at-risk player must go through. He must isolate in a room, continue to wear a mask, be transported in quarantine as soon as possible, and lastly, game day testing is required. The NFL staff explains in their 2020 article regarding COVID procedures that the NFL is putting forth and keeping high-risk players away from the rest of the team. Different articles are saying different things. Some say the NFL is not doing enough, and others are like the Fox News article saying they are doing enough. Overall, the COVID situation and the NFL needs to be closely monitored so games can continue and no outbreaks get out of control. Depending on what news coverage you read, either the NFL is taking plenty of precautions or not enough. Some articles view the NFL's COVID plan as unacceptable and dangerous for all who are involved, while others say the NFL is doing a sufficient job. Therefore, it is best to fact-check different articles to be able to create your own view on the situation. The NFL is trying its best to finish the season without entering a bubble. Although Barry Coast believes rules should be stricter, the NFL has evidence of putting in efforts to combat the virus. As facts state, the NFL is working to keep the season going despite backlash from certain media contributors. If the NFL can get a grip on COVID cases, then they will be able to finish their season, and they will be abiding by safety regulations. The players, staff, and viewers will benefit from having football as a stress-relieving outlet in this crazy time of life.